and then it comes off next week. So good to go from next week.
How much of a relief is it to be available? And obviously it's never great to have a bit of a concern, is it? But you must be delighted that you're back in time and good to go, ready to go.
Yeah, of course. When you get injured so close to, well, at the time it was the European Games were at the forefront of my mind, and then obviously when you figure out you're not going to be able to play in them, the Six Nations then. But from early doors, even just the next day, the surgeon and the doctor were fine. They just said it's probably the best injury to have in your face. So that was nice to know. If you could pick one bone, you pick that one.
Yeah, hi, can I ask you both really, the focus in the short term is the Six Nations, but this is a World Cup year. From a coach's perspective, and a player's perspective, how do you marry those two huge ambitions and goals in a year like this?
Pretty easily. You focus what's in front of you, and we meet up tomorrow as a squad for the first time, so the focus will be nothing but on ourselves and getting ready for the Welsh game. And then obviously it's about progression, isn't it? Being honest with yourself and making sure that there's a realisation of where you need to take your game to. I think we've got a pretty hungry group to be able to do that.
Andy, obviously Warren coming back to Wales, the guy you know.
Who?
Does he make them a very different beast immediately, or what's your take on that?
Well, obviously, all the hype is certainly warranted, pardon the pun, but he's obviously a serial winner, certainly in this competition, and he'll certainly bring that to his squad, and he'll have them ready. Cardiff's always been a difficult hunting ground for us, and rightly so. It's one of the hardest places in world rugby to go to, so it really doesn't matter who's in charge or what type of team they put out there. We all know what playing at home means to the Welsh, so therefore it's a massive task for us first up, but we pride ourselves to try and get up to speed as soon as we possibly can and be at our best when it matters. So hopefully the occasion, the game will bring the best out in us.
Andy, I think you've spoken publicly before about embracing being world number ones. What does that look like? Does that look any different day to day and in the messages?
It means grabbing hold of it and bringing it in like this. It's just about a realisation where you're at. Again, to improve on what you're about and what you're trying to achieve. So, that's where you want to be. We want to be tested as much as we possibly can, and obviously, if you're up there and playing some decent rugby, then people are trying to chase you down, etc. So that's a different type of test for us, but it's something that we want. It's something that we're going to cherish and get after it more.
Hello, one question for Johnny. Johnny, could you talk about Josh van der Flier as a player and as a guy? Could you describe what kind of guy and player it is?
Josh, yeah, he's first of all as a fella, he's the most humble, hard-working lad you'll ever meet. He's obviously taken his game to a level, obviously voted player of the year, and he's been outstanding for us, and he has showed no signs of letting up. He started the year really well, and we're gonna need him in this campaign. He's been fantastic for us over the last 18 months since he's got his big break.
Morning, Andy.
Hi.
Hi. Quite a few people were surprised by Joey being left out of the squad. Could you just explain that decision and maybe tell us how he reacted to it?
Yeah, and I understand it because it's not as though he's been playing poorly. His form's been pretty good, as in he played pretty well yesterday. But there's been a bit of feedback like we would do with a lot of players who didn't make the squad, and Joey understands that. And there's another guy there, Ross Byrne, who's been getting feedback for the last couple of years and couldn't get into the room, and he's improved out of sight really on the things that we've been asking of him, and so he gets the chance to see whether that can convert to the international stage, and we know that's a different level, but he's earned the right to be able to do that, and 100% that Joey will be working away hard to get back in, and then we've got Jack Crowley there who's got a lot of potential going forward, so we need to put a bit of time into him as well. A little bit of that, a little bit of both. Everyone has some improvement in them, Johnny's top of the tree, obviously, as far as his career is concerned, etc. But he'd be the first to tell you that he's got things to work on. So everyone has, but at the same time, it's a great place for us to be. That we've got a bit of depth, got a bit of competition, and people fighting to want to be part of this Irish squad is where we want to be.
A question for Andy. What do you think about France? They beat you two times.
We know that, yeah. They're a fantastic side. They found different ways to deal with the pressures of international rugby, and they can play the game in all sorts of different ways. And they obviously thoroughly deserved the championship last year. And the way that they went about their autumn as well, it showed that they can roll with the punches as a side, and find a way to win. So obviously, the season that they had last year and not losing a game makes them very dangerous coming into this competition.
Hi guys, you're both very experienced in rugby. I just wondered what you've made of the Six Nations Netflix that's coming. Is something new this year? Do you think it's important for the game to do that, and are you sort of open to it behind the scenes?
Johnny?
Yeah, we're delighted. No, I think it would be. I think it'd be good for the game. Give people an insight into what it's like, in our environment. I think you get a lot of that anyway with the social media guys that follow us around, and but it'd be good for the, I suppose, global audience, and hopefully it'll bring some more fans, some more revenues, some more sponsorship, all those type of things. So it'd be good for the game.
A quick question for both of you, just on the RFU's introduction of the new laws on waist-height tackling from next season. Do you think that can be enforced practically? Do you think that's good for the community game? Would you be in favour of similar laws being introduced in Ireland?
Well, you're very opinionated.
Yeah, look, I don't agree with it. There's no point in sitting on the fence, really, is there? I just think that you've got tall people that play the game. It should be their decision to how they tackle. Of course, we need to get the headshots out of the game. But I think that the tackles that we really need to take out of the game are the reckless, out of control, sprinting out of the line, tucking arms, all these type ones. Hitting someone there, I don't think it should be an option. And it's not like you can't get concussed chopping someone's knees. I see a hell of a lot of concussions, people getting their head on the wrong side and a knee to the temple or a hip even to the side of the head. So strongly disagree.
I think it's super important that what has to come with that is the correct coaching, the correct way, the correct technique, because of the reasons that Johnny's just said. If you're just saying to a kid that you need to tackle lower, then you become even more vulnerable, in my opinion. If you're just sitting there with your arms in front, trying to wrap and with your head down, etc., you're a sitting duck waiting to happen. So the coaching and the technique of how it's applied to tackling below the waist is absolutely crucial. Otherwise, we're going to have a serious problem.